I spoke with President-elect Trump and congratulated him on his victory. I also told him that we will help him and his team with their transition, and that we will engage in a peaceful transfer of power. I do not concede the fight that fueled this campaign.
And that was Vice President Kamala Harris formally conceding the election yesterday in an address at Howard University, hours after President-elect Trump was declared the winner. President Biden also spoke with Trump by phone yesterday to congratulate the former president and elected president on his victory and to express his commitment to ensure a smooth transition. Biden also invited Trump to the White House. Biden will address the nation about the election from the Rose Garden today at 11 a.m. Eastern. Ahead of that, let's get into it with Trump 2024 senior advisor Jason Miller. Jason, great to see you. Congratulations to you on your campaign.
Thank you so much, Maria. This is a great feeling and especially a validation of what President Trump has put forward over the last 2 years on the campaign trail, and also a validation of his first term, his wildly successful first term, where we're able to get this great economy and secure the border. And I think we can look forward to much of the same as we go into this next 4 years.
Yeah, I mean, President Trump certainly expanded the tent for Republicans, but also had an expanded tent around him this entire campaign season, right? I mean, from RFK Jr. to Elon Musk and Tulsi Gabbard and so many others who got on the Trump train. How important was that for President Trump to have a broad coalition of people from all sides, some Democrats, who are actually communicating what kind of policy changes he wants in place?
Well, I think it was important to show that this is where the American public is right now. The American public wants to see the economy fixed. They want to see the border secure. You talk about, for example, President Trump's immigration policies. 2/3 of Americans fully support what he's doing. Even a majority of Latinos support what President Trump is doing. So having Democrats and independents and people who, quite frankly, aren't even involved normally in politics get involved with that shows that this is where the public discourse is today. I think that's a big departure from what you saw from the Democrats, not just most recently on Election Day, but through the entire cycle. I think they ran really a campaign, I say collectively, because we had two different opponents, but collectively a campaign of splitting people apart. President Trump brought people together, and you're going to see much more of that bipartisan fashion as we head into this next 4 years.
So let's talk about the next 4 years and what's ahead. The president-elect spending yesterday with his team in Palm Beach, strategizing on how he will fix policies going forward. The Trump-Vance transition co-chairs Linda McMahon and Howard Lutnick said in a statement, quote, "In the days and weeks ahead, President Trump will be selecting personnel to serve our nation under his leadership and enact policies that make the life of Americans affordable, safe, and secure." Here are some of the potential cabinet members that we expect, advisors that President Trump is reportedly considering. Jason, we've got it on screen. What can you tell us in terms of what's important to President Trump in terms of making these selections to fill out his cabinet?
Well, one of the things I think folks forget about is President Trump had some A-listers, some really great people in his first administration. He had some very good picks. And quite frankly, I've been around as some of those people have said, I want to come back and I want to help you again, President Trump. Let's finish the job of what we started. And so that's really exciting. There's some people to be returning. And as you referenced before, there'll be new people joining the mix, not just kind of the big names that you'd see or even some of the names that you put on the screen there. But again, have some Democrats, independents, people from the business community. There have been some A-listers, very top A-listers who are business leaders around the country who've expressed interest in coming and joining the Trump administration. And this is the good thing. Everybody wants to join. Everybody wants to be a part of what President Trump is going to build back because they saw him do it before. They know that we can do it again. And that's a very exciting feeling as you talk about the momentum and the mandate since he won the popular vote, 312 electoral votes. 1 out of every 3 voters of color voted for President Trump in this election. It's a complete realignment of American politics.
That is incredible. I mean, there were lots of optimistic people who were expecting a win in the electoral votes, but the popular vote as well was pretty incredible. Talk to us about the agenda, Jason. When I spoke with President Trump last, he said that his first priority was going to secure the border. Is that in place? How is he going to do that? And what else is sort of a priority on his agenda for the first 100 days?
Yeah, and the great thing also about President Trump is that he's told us exactly what he's going to do. We know that so many of those policies, whether it be the border, even some of the things on energy exploration and others, can be put back in place with a simple signature on an executive order. Get those going literally on day one. So that might not be at 12:01 p.m. when he actually starts signing them. Maybe it's at 12:05 p.m. But he is going to move quick. He's going to move fast. He knows how critical it is to get that border secured. And there are already efforts to go and get those put into place. Obviously, there'll be parts that have to do with Congress and with legislation. But now with having the majority back in the Senate, a grown majority, we can do such exciting things. Think, for example, when we re-up the tax cuts, but adding in things such as no tax on tips, no tax on overtime, no tax on Social Security. This is going to be bigger and bolder and greater than we've even ever seen before.
How many executive orders are you expecting in the first week?
So I wouldn't want to go and necessarily put an over-under,
okay.
But I think you can see specifically when we talk about the border and with the energy exploration, he will be ready to go literally on day one with many of these. But I wouldn't want to say the exact number because they're not all necessarily weighted equally.
Okay.
But the bottom line is he's going to move. He's going to move quick.
Here's Todd Pyro.
Jason, it took mere seconds after the race was called for the mainstream media, folks like Chris Hayes over at MSNBC, to call for the deep state to go do its job and make sure no matter how much control the Trump administration and Republicans have in D.C., that the Trump administration cannot get its agenda done. What are you doing? What's the plan to counteract what the deep state will likely do, not only in the next couple of weeks leading up to inauguration, but obviously once Trump retakes office?
Well, it's interesting you bring that up because we saw even during the campaign over this past 2 years where the deep state and the insiders in Washington did everything they could to try to stop President Trump. But there was a rejection of that. There was, frankly, a rejection of the weaponization of the justice system. There was a rejection of some of the same antics that we saw during the first term where people in government and, quite frankly, those some kind of government adjacent as they tried to stop President Trump into what he was doing, we're ready for it this time. President Trump is ready for it. We're going to put in good people who support the agenda, and we're going to make sure that they cannot stop this from going and actually restructuring government in a way that helps people. Too many people have been left behind in this economy. We see what's going on with inflation, with the spending, and all the craziness. We're going to knock off the nonsense. We're going to get back to common sense, as President Trump says. And he's ready. We'll be ready.
Well, it's going to be tough to deport 10 million people overnight. We know that. Jonathan Fahey is here. He used to work at ICE. Jonathan, jump in.
Yeah, Jason, first of all, congratulations. But you've done this your second time doing this. You've learned a lot. Probably you're in a unique situation. You've learned a lot from the first term. Putting aside personnel, what are lessons that were learned by you, Donald Trump, and everyone else that will help you implement his agenda more efficiently and make sure he gets everything done? Because you're looking at probably maybe a 2-year window, at least with a Republican Congress, both House and Senate. What lessons learned is he going to carry in to get these things done?
Yeah, great question. Number one is knowing exactly how Washington already works. And I do think this was a major determining factor in why President Trump won with such a mandate, because people know he can step in and do it right away. There's not this ramp-up period of need a couple of months to figure out who are we going to hire, how do we put certain things in place. He knows how to do it on day one. So his leading the train is going to be completely, that's a different type of structure in the sense that this is only the second time in U.S. history you've had someone who was president before now come back again. So he knows exactly what the levers of power are. The second point, and I referenced this a moment ago, is that personnel is going to be key. You have to have people completely dedicated to the mission who are in these key positions, not just at the cabinet level, not just at the deputy level, but as we talk about these various agencies, we talk about the department heads, so to speak, we have to have people who are loyal to both President Trump and to this mission of turning the country around. Because if you don't have those people in place and you give it to the nameless, faceless career bureaucrats who could care less if it's Kamala Harris or Donald Trump or anybody else in the future, then they're going to go do their own thing. You have to put in the right people who believe in what President Trump campaigned on, and that's what he's going to do.
Jason, let me get your take on regulation. President Trump has said many times that deregulation is a beautiful thing. He wants to take the shackles off of corporate America so that there aren't bureaucracies around in terms of moving forward and getting growth done. Can you identify specific regulations that you believe or President Trump believes have been in the way of a trajectory of growth for the U.S. economy?
Well, the number one, let's start right off the top with energy exploration. That was one of the biggest things that started this inflation crisis to begin with. When Biden and Harris came into office, they immediately stopped a number of energy exploration efforts, and that had a chain reaction. Of course, then the big, massive spending. And as we've discussed on the campaign trail, we believe that with impoundment, that there are a number of different things you can do to stop the spending from the executive side of things. But really specifically, as we talk about energy exploration, that is a critical component, and that will be something the president starts on day one. That's the biggest focus, but so many more after that.
All right, we will leave it there. Jason, great to talk with you. Again, congrats, and thanks so much for being here.